So, welcome everybody. We are back, as you can see, over the last few days. I'm officially back in the swing of things. I started my quarantine lockdown last week, and basically, I'm going to be in the house 6 or 7 days the next whenever. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is Big J with FightView360.com. We cover now, back on the swing of things, every major fight live. So, on August the 26th, of 2020, something big is happening that is not getting a lot of worldwide recognition in regards to there's a major fight or a significant fight between former WBO 147-pound champion Jeff Horn. He beat Manny Pacquiao, and young up-and-coming talent Tszyu, son of Tszyu. So here's the thing. It's going to be fans in attendance, 16,000 or so. In a 25,000 seat arena, they're going to, spread it out, do social distancing. But it's the first boxing event since lockdown or since COVID started where there's actually going to be fans in attendance. Now, we just have to hope and pray that it stays that way. Because with that being said, for boxing fans in general, that means that maybe they can explore other places to possibly put on fights. I read something earlier today that New Zealand hasn't reported, I don't know if it was a COVID death or a COVID case, a new case in 100 or so days, but people are going to say, well, they are on an island. It's easier to contain. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the card. We're going to talk about the main event. Big J is going to tell you what he's learned so far, who he's talked to. We're hoping to get Jeff Horn on the line. We're hoping to get, we actually have somebody from the Undercard on the line. And what I'm going to do is turn it over to Big J. We're just going to go from there. What's going on, Jay? Let them know what's going on.
Hey, g'day, mate. How you going? How you doing? You doing well over there, mate?
Yeah. So tell me what we've learned so far. So everything's still intact for August the 26th, correct?
Everything is still intact. Queensland has not recorded any cases of COVID. There were a couple of Logan girls, which is a Brisbane suburb that went down to Melbourne and come up that were infectious, but they've been contained. I don't think there's any cases, especially not in Townsville, where the fight's been held, because Townsville is, remember, 1,600 k's to the north of Brisbane. Mm-hmm. So there's been no cases. I've got friends up there in Townsville, and it's just business as usual up in Townsville. Pretty much Queensland has shut all their borders off to anyone in New South Wales. So Tszyu made the smart strategic move to the Gold Coast, which is just over the border. He's going to finish up his training at Sanctum Forge, which is a gym run by former two-time WBC light heavyweight contender Paul Briggs. So he's going to finish his training there, and from what I've been told, him and Jeff will hit Townsville about 6 days before the fight. So I spoke to one of the Undercard guys, Joel Camilleri, who's a former Australian super welterweight champion who fought Tszyu last year. And so it's all happening. Everything's still going as planned, and the undercard is looking strong. It is looking fantastic. It's a nice undercard. It's full of Aussies. There were a couple of New Zealander boys. David Light, I think he's a cruiserweight contender, was going to fight on the card, but Australia's international borders, for my mind, are still closed, so they couldn't let the New Zealand boys in.
So tell me. So let's talk about that a little bit. Not to cut you off, but basically, now that's important. So only people in Townsville are able to attend the fight. Like, how does that like?
No, not correct. If you're in the state of Queensland, you live in Queensland, you can travel anywhere in the state. Queensland has only shut the borders off to New South Wales and Victoria at this stage. So if you're from South Australia, if you're from the Territory, if you're from WA, Western Australia, you can go to Queensland. If you're from Sydney, or pretty much New South Wales or Victoria, you haven't got a hope in hell of getting into Queensland.
Gotcha.
So a lot of people have been trying to sneak over, because where the Gold Coast is the southern part, is the southeast part of the border, Queensland New South Wales border, and there's a lot of people who've been trying to sneak over to the Queensland border to get into Queensland. It's a bit of a mess because a lot of people work in Queensland, live in New South Wales, and vice versa. But they sort that out. But in general sense, if you're from New South Wales, you pretty much can't get into Queensland. So Tszyu made the smart move to move up about 2-3 weeks ago, and he'll finish out his training camp and then go up to Townsville a week before the fight, which I think is a massive promotional thing. Because if I was his manager, I'd say let's go to Townsville and promote the daylights out of the fight. He could be running around the Strand, running up Castle Hill, doing photo ops with people and promoting the fight big time and getting a lot of people on his side. But yeah, he didn't do that. I thought they would have went to Townsville, and weather-wise too. I mean, it's a lot different. The humidity in the tropics is a lot different to Brisbane. So I thought, in my opinion, I would have went to Townsville and finished the camp there. But anyway, they've decided to go to the Gold Coast, so fair enough.
And this stadium is brand new.
Yeah, they only finished it this year. So I think besides the Elton John concert that they had February 29th of this year, I think they've had maybe 1 or 2 North Queensland Cowboys games, because that's the NRL team. The home team is called the North Queensland Cowboys. Mm-hmm. And I think they played the Gold Coast on the weekend. The Gold Coast kicked the shit out of them. I think they still do play games there this season, just with no crowds. So even though they could have crowds at the stadium, I don't think they have been having any crowds at any games at this stage. I don't think they have been. So, but the stadium is brand new. It's 25,000 seat. It's a fantastic stadium. It's ready to go. And come August 26th, I'll have 16,000 people there. Maybe more. But at this stage, tickets are selling quite well. But you can expect a crowd of 16,000 easy.
So let me read off the undercard real quick, to the viewers. So of course you have Jeff Horn versus Tszyu, Liam Wilson versus Jackson Woods, Joel Camilleri. We're going to be uploading that versus Adam Copeland, Isaac Hardman versus Jamie Weech, Cameron Hammond versus Will Parsons, Sam I.C. versus a TBA, Ben Horn versus Patrick Clark. Is Ben Horn related to Jeff? No?
Yeah, it's his little brother.
Oh, okay, there we go. And then Lynn Sandstrom versus Jessica Koshman. Let me pull up Ben Horn real quick. Okay, so it's a fighting family.
Yeah, Ben Horn. Ben Horn's only this will be his 4th professional fight. Ben's first fight was against Lachlan O'Shea, who I know. I used to work with him at the local bottle shop at BWS Irish Finnegan's before he started fighting, so I know the young fella. And yeah, his record's 1-2 at the moment, so hopefully he can get another win. But I don't think he's as skilled as his brother is. But it's another chance for him to get undercard to his brother, and good for him. So. And he's fighting a debutant, so I don't know anything about Patrick Clark. I don't know if he's got an amateur record or anything, but it's a solid undercard. I mean, Liam Wilson is a super featherweight phenomenon. I mean, he's only 6-0, and his last fight against, let me just have a look, Jesus.
Jesus.
Jesus. Cidrado. Is that how you
Jesus Caldro. Caldro.
He absolutely KO'd him in the 5th round, and it was a left hook, and it knocked him out before he hit the ground. It was an absolutely fantastic left hook, and that put him on the map, because wow, he's a phenomenal talent. Hopefully, a future world champion at super featherweight, which is ironically enough Australia's most successful weight division. We've had more world champions and contenders, both male and female, in the super weight division. So he's fighting Liam Wilson. Liam Wilson is dropping down from the lightweight division. Dropping down from the lightweight division. He's fought Justin Frost, who's Frosty's, I think he's an ex-army fella. Little bit of Tasmanian bloke. Decent sort of record, 4-1-1. So just another up and comer. So it'll be a decent fight. But based on the last fight that Liam had, I don't think Liam's going to have any problems with Woodsy, considering that he took out Jesus in such spectacular fashion. And for someone of Jesus' record, I mean, 18-6, I mean, that's no shove over, and Liam knocked him out cold. So it was a fantastic fight. We'll move on down to Joel Camilleri. Now, Joel Camilleri is known because he fought Tim Tszyu last year. I think it was last May for when it was for the Australian, Australian super welterweight title, which Joel was the champion, Tim was the challenger. Tim outboxed Joel for 10 rounds. Joel's actually sparring with Tim now, so Joel has sparred. He's been with Team Horn, and he's fought Tszyu. Is actually sparring with Tszyu down the Gold Coast now. And I asked him about the fight, and he said he couldn't split it. In his opinion, whoever wants it more will win the fight. I think that's fair enough, because he said if Jeff gets in there and does his fight of his life, he'll win, and if Tim fights his fight, he'll win. So he can't split it. He says it's 50-50. I said, well, that's fair enough. He's fighting Adam Copeland. Looks like just another up-and-comer. Big guy. He's about 6'3", this Adam Copeland, and he's cutting down from the super middleweight division to fight Joel at middleweight, and Joel's stepping up from the super welterweight. This will be his first fight at middleweight. He was supposed to fight earlier in the year, in late March at middleweight, but obviously COVID put a stop to that. So,
what do you know? Go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead.
So right now, I'm guessing Liam Wilson is the biggest prospect on the card. I just watched his KO against Jesus Caldro, and he looks sharp.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, he is the one that everyone's. He made he got the attention of the Australian public, boxing public, with that fight against Jesus, and this is another chance for him to.
Yeah, 4 undefeated fighters on the card. So actually, they're including the 2 women who are debuting. There are 6 undefeated fighters on the card. Crazy.
Yeah, it is. But what I like about this card is that they're all genuine fighters. There's no football players fighting tradies. There's no overseas taxi drivers doing a fill-in because they couldn't find someone else. Considering the circumstances of the actual fight, the undercard is pretty solid. Is pretty solid. I mean, we've got good up and comers. We've got guys who have been in the ring for a while. Joel is a 25 fight veteran. Cameron Hamad is another almost 20 fight veteran. Sam RC, he's a former super welterweight champion himself, a former Australian superweight champion. He hasn't fought in 5 years, but he's coming back with an opponent yet to be determined.
5 years.
Yeah, he hasn't fought in 5 years. I think 2015 was his last bout.
Well, so what happened with that?
I don't know, to be honest. I have no idea.
Some, some out of the ring shit.
Some out of the ring injury.
Yeah, well, good. I mean, good that he back. Let's see, how old is he? He's born. Oh, he's still got some time.
Oh, he's only 20 something. So.
Yeah, what's that? 29.
Yeah, so he's not some old veteran that's had 10 years off. It's coming back. He's still, maybe he had family. Who knows what the circumstances was? I haven't looked. But that's all right. But no, I mean, it's a solid undercard. And what I like about this undercard is Isaac Hardman, who's fighting Jamie Weech. Now, Jamie Weech fought Dennis Hogan. I think that was his last fight when he fought Dennis Hogan back in 2018. Yes, it was. That was the fight that Dennis had before he fought Jamie Munguia.
Okay.
So Jamie Weech is a pretty good, solid, mid card guy. Born in Wales, now lives out in Western Australia. As I said, they've got a couple of fighters from Western Australia. I think Lynn Sandstorm is also from. No, she's Swedish. She's from she's Sydney. I think one of the girls is from Western Australia as well. Nah, I thought they were. Nah. Okay, well, both the lady fighters, one from New South Wales, one from Queensland. But yeah, Jamie Weech is based over in Perth, so Perth people can get into Queensland, so that's good. I don't find any real problems with the undercard. But funnily enough, Joel Camilleri was supposed to be fighting Isaac Hardman, and they had a bit of a to and fro on Facebook, saying they offered Joe a purse that he just turned around and said, that's insulting. I'm not going to take that. And Isaac said, oh well, I'll give you my purse if you win. He's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And they said, oh, he reckons you've blown your chance to get on the card. And now he's fighting Adam Copeland. So I thought that was pretty funny, actually. But Joel explains that in the interview that I had with him. But now that ESPN's picked this up, this is a fantastic opportunity for these guys and girls to shine on a world stage, because pretty much, it's going to be a world event, because there's going to be a lot of eyes. Hopefully, it's getting traction overseas, because there's a lot of people here just going, well, this is the only fight with a crowd worldwide. It's their time to shine. So,
hold on, I'm pulling up the boxing scene article about.
I find it's really, really a positive card that, considering the circumstances and the limitations of COVID, and they can only get so many fighters from so many things.
True. I just hope everything goes off without a hitch, man.
Yeah, so do I. Well, I actually find it's a bit of a positive that this is all local talent. I mean, unfortunately for the New Zealand guys who are, I don't know why they couldn't let the New Zealand guys in, maybe because of the international restrictions, but New Zealand hasn't had any COVID cases in months, because they acted quickly. Their Prime Minister shut the place down for a month, and then they took care of it, and they haven't had any problems in a long time with COVID. I'm surprised that they haven't got boxing cards going over there. I haven't heard anything, but you'd think that they'd have just local cards going over there, but I haven't looked into it. But, yeah, it's a bit unfortunate that New Zealand fellas couldn't make it over here, but oh well, you can't have everything. Yeah. But it's a solid undercard for considering the circumstances. I think it's really good. It's a fantastic chance for Australian talent and Aussie talent to shine. So,
well, let's get to the main event. So I remember you were talking about how, if you were like basically, Tim Tszyu doesn't want to see Jeff Horn, and you had like a different opinion on that.
Oh, yeah, if I was Jeff, I'd follow him everywhere I went. Psych him out.
Yeah.
So, I find that interesting that, he doesn't want to see him. He wants him to switch hotels and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, if I was Jeff, I'd follow him everywhere he went when they got there for that week of the fight. I'd psych him out. So, I'd put a cardboard cutout in his room of Jeff, just but anyway, I don't know what. I mean, if Tim keeps on saying that he's so focused on the fight, if he's so focused, who cares what Jeff's up to?
Yeah.
Why would he care what Jeff's up to?
Yeah, Tim Tszyu is ranked number 12 by the WBC. He's not ranked by the WBA, but ranked number 6 by the IBF and number 9 by the WBO. So basically, like, what's the odds looking like? Is what's the feel over there? Are people saying that they're going with Horn or they're going with Tszyu? What do you think?
It's 50-50. There's a lot of Horn. Like, if you're New South Welshman, you're pretty much going after Tim Tszyu. If you're a Queenslander, you're going to back Jeff. Mm-hmm. From the general consensus, the most people that I've spoken to, it's pretty much straight down the line. It's 50-50. There's a lot of people saying that Tim's going to win, that he's going to outbox Jeff, and there's a lot of people saying, yeah, Jeff's just going to
maul him.
Maul him, and I mean, as I said, if Jeff does the same that he did to Mick Sarafa in their second fight, Tim hasn't got a chance. I mean, if he hits him with that right hand, Tim's going to go to sleep for a week, but he's got to hit him with the right hand.
Well, listen, and we talked about it even before ESPN picked up the fight. Is that the winner of this fight is likely going to get a deal, or some type of deal from somebody, even if it's not top ranked. They could possibly get a deal from, PBC or whatever. I know if it's Tim Tszyu, somebody's going to definitely try to sign him out.
Oh, definitely. But he's got to get past.
This is a big deal, and it's going to be a crowd. They're going to make other promotional companies envious, because Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, they can't do crowd fights. PBC Al Heyman can't do crowd fights. Top Rank Bob Arum can't do crowd fights. Golden Boy Oscar De La Hoya can't do crowd fights.
Well, this is the thing. If I was those promoters, I'd be like, well, hang on a second. We can do cards in Australia.
Yeah, but also the travel restrictions, and it's different.
Well, what they could do is sign up a whole bunch of Australian fighters and do a card at home.
Yeah, yeah.
There's plenty of Australian fighters. Like they could do a card. They could do a card in Queensland. They can do cards in WA because WA, there's no cases over there. So and Perth. I think Perth's got. I can't remember the name of the venue, but there's a venue over in Perth that's held UFC, 2 or 3 UFC events. So, Perth's no stranger to combat sports.
Well, depending on who wins September the 26th between Jamel Charlo and Jason Rosario, I wouldn't, like, the winner of Jeff Horn and Tim Tszyu is going to be in line for that, because I don't see, let's say, for example, if Jamel Charlo beats Jason Rosario. Jamel Charlo has already stated that he's going to stay at 154, and because his brother's at 160, so it's a very valuable spot, for the winner of this fight, because there'll be one, maybe no more than 2 fights away from the third fight being a title shot. And then likely it can be for all the belts if everything fall into place. So this is a very, very important fight for both fighters, and whoever loses, unfortunately, they got to go to the far end of the line.
No, exactly. I mean, it's the same with the undercards. I mean, whoever loses is going backwards. So
yeah.
But with the WBO 154 champ Patrick Trixeria, is that how you pronounce his last name?
He's mandated to fight his number 1, Brian Carlos Castaño, and what will happen is the contract is already done, from my understanding, and it was already going to happen before COVID, but COVID stopped it. So, and if Terrence Crawford were to fight him, Castaño would have to be paid step-aside money. So basically, that fight's going to happen.
Yeah, because you told me the other day that Crawford's looking at moving up to 154.
Yeah, but the money may not be there, because they would have to pay off Castaño, so it just.
I think he's better off staying where he is.
Yeah, and right now 154 is pretty deep, from guys like Castaño, Liam Smith, Jarrett Swift-Hurd. Sergio Garcia, Kell Brooks up there, and then of course the champions. It's a pretty deep division. So.
Well, also the fact that there's an off chance that if he moves up to 154, that Jeff Horn could be chasing him for that rematch.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. I mean, I don't know if Jeff's been told that he might be moving up, but I don't know. There's a very small.
It ain't gonna happen. No, it ain't gonna happen. But all right, let's do some quick hits. What have you heard about Dennis Hogan? Dennis Hogan can have a fight coming up on PBC very soon.
Well, funnily enough, because I spoke to Dennis is still in the country. He hasn't moved over to Vegas. He's still in the country. COVID stopped all that move, so I don't know what's going on with him. Okay. Joel Camilleri told me that the other day. So I thought he'd moved overseas, but that's all been stopped. So he's still in the country. So no idea what's going on with him. To be honest, I'll have to make some.
Oh well, then he ain't gonna be able to come over here. Then he can't. We can't. We're not letting nobody in over here, from my understanding.
Well, then he's stuck where he is. So I don't know what's going on with him. All I got told is that he's still in the country. So that's all I know in regards to Dennis Hogan.
Oh, okay. Well, then what's next? What's next on the docket? We already we got about another few minutes left. You want to do some quick hits?
The only other thing coming up is potentially Mundine v Zarafa in November 14th in Bendigo. But considering that fight's going to be held in Victoria, COVID might stop it.
Right now, it's scared like that. Like I don't. I mean, I get it. They're trying to do, get the money, but scheduling these fights, man, like we got. They got. I'm guessing everybody want to see how Horn versus Tszyu does.
Oh, exactly.
Make sure nobody don't get sick and all that, because listen, that's a lot of people, man, and people are gonna be drinking and shit.
Oh yeah. They'll probably have it. They'll probably have it all restricted or whatever. I'm not quite sure how they're going to do it. They'll probably copy the same formula that the AFL's been doing. The AFL is allowing smaller crowds into stadiums in Perth and in South Australia. I'm not quite too sure about Queensland. what they're doing in Queensland. But obviously, the boxing will pick up how they're doing things in the AFL and how they separate their crowds and how they're allowing to letting them move around. Obviously, they're all going to have to be masked up. I'm pretty sure. I think that's some of the conditions. If you go to these events, you've got to wear a mask or something like that, or some sort of thing. Temperature checks at the door. I'm not quite sure what they're going to do, but for the first big event in Queensland with a crowd, because I'm pretty sure that the NRL's not putting any crowds on with their football games, and they're all based in Queensland at the moment, as most of the AFL games are. They're going to have to do some stringent protection, protection policies in place to make sure that if anyone does get sick, it doesn't spread like brush fire. So
Yeah.
So Queensland hasn't had any cases in months, so they should be right. But it only takes one person to spread it. So, but we'll see how Horn Zoo goes, and then hopefully it goes off without a hitch, because that's what's today's date, the 10th or something. Yeah, the 10th. So that's less than a little bit. What?
16 days.
Yeah.
16.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yeah, next you might as well say next. Yeah, fight week coming up.
Yeah, that's right, and it's going to be chomping at the bit. And I still think Jeff's going to have it over Tim. I think he's going to get him at 6. But that's just my opinion. So
we're gonna see, because I'm hype. And I got to be honest with you, I'm getting tired of talking about the fight. I want to see them get in the ring.
Yeah, no, it's getting a bit. Because unfortunately for Australia, it's the only thing we've got going at the moment. So everyone's focused on it. There's no other fights going on. But it's a solid undercard. It's going to be a great event. August 26th, Townsville gets to shine. The only disappointing thing is I can't make it to the fight, but I'm just going to have to tune in like everyone else on main events. So
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
All right, well, let's get up out of here, man. I've been covering boxing all weekend. This is TstreeT Controversy with FightFu360.com and Big J. So, expect more content, especially during fight week. And also, we're going to be here after the fight, with a stream to talk about what's going on. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is Big J with FightFu360.com. Please subscribe.